With the sun coming and going on its own terms, the Mainas have refocused their sole attention to muskies.
Getting some crazy weather, a lot of fronts in and out. As much as that sounds like a great thing in a lot of cases for muskies, and it can be, when they're really cool fronts like this, a lot of rain, a lot of wind come with it, it's generally not all that good. So I'm expecting fish activity kind of in between these fronts.
Getting a lot of raises and even follows on jerk baits with tails, and also glider baits.
And finally, we went from having activity on jerk baits with tails to glider jerk baits that kind of have a wobble on the hang. That's how many different things I'm trying, and possibly finally we've got something here. We just had a pretty hot follow and this nice little guy here. Oh! One thing that was interesting though is I definitely pattern fish to weeds. I've been trying weeds and rocks. First day on a Canadian Shield Lake, that's something you want to do. You want to try different things. It's basically been all weeds. So now I'm to the point where today anyway, I'm concentrating on the weeds only. That's where we've seen our fish. We've had a couple of close calls. Oh, here he comes, Seth, here he comes.
Should I try dead?
Yeah, let's try it. Oh, boy, that didn't work. Well, next time, let's try speeding up. If he follows in again,
all right.
Let's try speeding up and then go into a deep figure eight. And then all of a sudden, I'm retrieving my baits about halfway in, and I look right over there, and there's the big blonde thing in the water, exactly where my son's bait is. And I'm like, big fish! I love to see anybody catch a muskie, but if it's my son or my dad catching a muskie, that makes it that much better. He hasn't caught a real big one yet. Now my son and I see this long thing attached to his lure, and I'm quite excited now, and more excited than normal. Put her there! Nicely done. I saw that big blonde spot in the water behind his bait, and I'm like, that ain't no weed.
So I'm trying to get this thing, and it was kind of hard because, like a doofus, I didn't decide to loosen the drag. So
I immediately decided there wasn't going to be much instruction at all. It was just, I'm going to get the fish in that net. I didn't tell him to loosen the drag. I didn't tell him anything, and just hang on to that fish, and I'm going to get him in the bag as quickly as possible. Boy, that's a big old yapper. Look at, oh yeah, that's a 48 there. Wow. The special thing was that moment. You got to be in between these gill arches when you're not expecting it, and that big, long, blonde thing in the water is there attached to your son's lure. Show him the camera.
The Real Deal, real fishing information from real fishing experts, presented by AmSoil.
I catch walleyes for a living, but I also like to catch anything that swims. One of my go-to baits is the Berkley ripple shad. Some of the cool features I like about it is the rib design with the paddle tail, which really displaces a lot of water, but also has the power bait scent impregnated. So when a fish grabs a hold of it, they won't let go. Some of my go-to colors in the ripple shad is going to be just a plain white. I also like the new racy shad. That's going to be a great color in any situation. Some of the new colors available are right here in the fire perch and the green ghost. So the fire perch would be great in the dirty water situations, and then the green ghost would be a little bit better in the clear water. They're also available in 5 sizes, from 2 inches all the way up to 5 inches. So if you want to downsize and catch a few crappies, the 2 inch would be a great choice. 3 and 3.5 inch are my go-to sizes for walleyes. And then the 4 and the 5 inch version would be great for those largemouth bass and northerns and maybe even occasional muskies. The first thing I do is when I use jigs, I use a heavier jig than normal because I'm going to fish it a little more aggressively. So when I cast this bait out, I let it sink to the bottom, and as soon as that bait hits bottom, I know my line goes slack, and then I want to fish it very aggressively. I want to rip it off the bottom, give it a 2 to 3 foot hop, and then follow it back to the bottom. I actually like to use fire line in this situation, which transmits that signal all the way up to me. I can feel that paddle tail come through the water. When I rip it up, I can feel that tail vibrate and feel it go back to the bottom. These baits catch a lot of walleyes, but they catch just about everything.